And we're back, folks. We're back with 13, if I'm not mistaken, of the Pinch Talk podcast with Mario and Pat. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Mario. It's a lot of shit to talk about, so let's not, do a long ass intros. My man Pat is here with me. How you doing, bruh?
I'm good, man. I'm good. This baseball is here, is back amidst a pandemic, and we see the flaws with the baseball system and everything like that. But it could be worse. I feel like the United States as a whole is really kind of undeserving of sports, but capitalism will prevail, sadly. So these billionaires need their money, and these millionaires need their money too. So
Exactly. And no, that's something that we're going to talk about. So remember, you can check out the podcast on Twitter, check out the threads we do. We should be dropping some power rankings soon. And remember that the podcast is available on all platforms: Breaker, Apple Pods, Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, everything you want. The podcast will be there. So episode 13, there's a lot of shit to talk about. I think it's perfectly logical that since we are 1/4 of the season is pretty much done. Most teams have played anywhere between 13, 12, 13, 14 games. Most teams. I think it's fair that we kind of do like a little recap of the state of baseball right now, and some teams that maybe have surprised you, some teams that maybe haven't. I'm gonna ask you one thing. I'm gonna ask you to give me like two teams that have positively surprised you, and then two teams that have negatively surprised you. You got those?
Yep. Teams that positively surprised me this year: the Rockies.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming. The Rockies, the Cubs, and the Padres. Honestly,
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like there's a lot of teams off the slow starts just because of how weird the season is, and the fact that we have teams that are kind of getting delayed. Oh, the Marlins too. The Marlins are like 7-1 or something. That's ridiculous.
They're 7-1 right now.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Teams that have negatively surprised me: the Indians.
Mm.
The Nationals.
Agreed.
The Brewers. No, actually, the Brewers are okay. I'd say the Dodgers. No, the Dodgers are fine. The Diamondbacks.
Oh yes, I was just about to say like they're like the number one like teams that's disappointing. So for me, teams have positively surprised me. I'm not gonna say the Rockies because that's like a given. These motherfuckers are 10-3. Like I can't believe. Like I'm so happy. Like if y'all could see my face, man. Like I'm just smiling like ear to ear, like a little kid, man. Like so, three teams that have positively surprised me: the Padres. They look pretty strong overall, and that's with the bullpen, which was supposed to be one of their biggest strengths, being kind of weak so far. The White Sox. They feel pretty much like the team I expected. They're young, very exciting to watch. Pitching staff is but they're still getting it done. And then another team that surprised me in a very positive way. You said the Marlins, so I'm not going to say them. One team that's actually really surprised me is the Oakland A's, and I say that because they got off to a terrible start, and they've started to pick it up, and like that kind of quick turnaround and how they're playing, despite the fact that Matt Chapman and Marcus Semien have OPSs below 650. I think that's really impressive. So, and as far as teams that have negatively surprised me, the D-backs one, you said. I'd say the Mets, but the Mets are the fucking Mets, so I expected them to do something bad this year anyway. And I'd say the Red Sox, because I expected them to be mid, but not trash like they've been. Like, do you have like the standings near you or something like that?
Yeah, I do. The Mets are 5-9. With They only had a run differential on here, but yeah. The Mets are 5-9.
It's negative, and it's like minus 19 or some shit like that.
Yeah, it is. I think it probably is. Besides Jacob DeGrom, the Mets are just awful. And then you have Marcus Stroman like tear his like calf muscle or something, so he's out for the season. Yoenis Cespedes disappeared. And that was hilarious. That was the Mets. We told each other the Mets can do some Mets stuff, and then Yoenis Cespedes literally disappears without telling anybody. Well, actually, he told somebody, but they didn't tell they didn't tell the GM or something like that he was opting out.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
It
I got
is.
the
I
run
love
differential right here. It's minus 16.
Oh my goodness,
They're last in the NL East.
that's
Go ahead.
gross. That's gross. And it makes me mad because my team has one of the best run differentials in baseball, and we're still just one game above 500.
Yeah, y'all are at plus 15. It's actually pretty good.
It's only 15. I thought it was like 20 something. Hold on.
Nah, y'all at plus 15. Y'all have.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty good. Like the A's have plus 16.
Yeah, it's only plus 15.
They're 10.
It's because we're not scoring. I mean, if we were in league average, we'd be like 10-4 or something, or even better than that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So like, there's so much weird shit going on. Like, just a couple nuggets. The Detroit Tigers are 6-5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're technically ahead of the Indians in the stands right here, in the standings. Technically, so here's the American League East, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees are first, no surprise. Then you got the Orioles and the Rays tied for second place, both 6-7.
All right.
Like, which is just like, what the fuck? Then the Red Sox 5-8, another bad surprise. I expected them to be mid, but not this bad. And then the Blue Jays are last. That's just like one more example. The NL Central has the Cubs at 10-3, and then everyone else has a negative record. The NL East has the Marlins in first place at 7-1, and aside from the Braves, everyone else is terrible. And the NL West has the Rockies at 10-3, leading the division. So, yeah. How do you like? We've talked about our teams before, and you kind of went into it already. Give us an extended analysis of sorts of the Cleveland Indians 2020 so far. Like, the floor is yours. Just speak.
Okay.
And let your voice be heard.
Okay. All right.
Oh my God.
Shane Bieber is, well, not just Shane Bieber. The Indian starting rotation is like one of the best starts in baseball history. And not to mention, they're all going 6+ innings in the season where starting pitchers are averaging 5 innings per appearance per start. You got. I'm going to pull up the log of what the starting pitchers have gone, because it's ridiculous. Like, you would think this was a regular season in like July. Like, this was July, in the middle of July of a regular season.
Yeah, you would think this was July in 1965, something like
that.
Yeah,
like,
kind of pitching set they're putting
it's
up.
Crazy. The numbers are crazy. Hold on, let me find.
Shane Bieber is below 1 in ERA. I think it's like an ERA of 2 as a team, right? Mm-hmm. Somewhere around that.
He has like a 0.83 ERA. So I'm gonna just do the WAR first. Shane Bieber has 1. Shane Bieber has 1 WAR. Carlos Carrasco has a 0.4. Aaron Zavalli has a 0.2. And Zach Plesac has a 0.4. And Mike Clevenger has a 0.1. And he's been the worst starting pitcher on the team.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah, and he has a 3.24 ERA.
Yeah, and honestly, he's been dealing with mechanical issues just because of him coming back from partially tearing his meniscus.
It's pretty ridiculous so far what they're doing. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. I cannot find this stuff for nothing. I'm mad. It's making me mad now. But the offense has been awful besides Jose Ramirez, and and Cesar Hernandez, and it's really frustrating me
Yeah.
because I really expected a lot more from Francisco and Carlos Santana. But with how weird the season is, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I read a stat somewhere that said that the Indians outfielders had a 402, I think like 402, 406. Not a known base percentage, folks.
OPS.
OPS,
Yeah,
OPS.
it's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. I'm just really, I don't know. Bradley Zimmer has been great, considering the fact that this is his first time playing Major League Baseball in more than 2 years, pretty much. I kind of expect Mercado to struggle.
He's green still.
Yeah, he's still green, so we'll see. Domingo Santana hasn't really hit, but he's been getting on base. Franmil Reyes started off awful, but lately, these last few games, he's been getting singles and hits and stuff like that. So it's good to see. And he's been taking his walks. So they've done better, a little bit better in like the second week and going into this third week. So
yeah, but it was awful at first. Like they were averaging like 2 runs per game, something like that. Like it was bad. Not against great pitching too. Like
exactly. And the thing about it that kind of is, I'm concerned, but I'm not like pressing the panic button yet, because I think one thing we've seen throughout baseball this year is that the pitchers are kind of ahead of the hitters.
Yes.
Or the pitchers were just absolutely terrible. So we'll have to see what happens. But with the season only being 60 games, the margin for error is just so much smaller.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's expanded playoffs kind of makes it a little bit better, because if the pitching can stay consistent like this, then nobody will want to see us in a 3-game series no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very high floor for a team when you have a pitching staff like that, but
yeah,
if the offense doesn't start clicking, then this is a very low ceiling as well.
Yeah. And James Karinchak is putting up video game numbers.
Yeah.
And he's
wild ass delivery.
Yeah, and he's not walking guys. He's like flooding the strike zone with just fails. Like,
yeah,
it's just crazy. Watching the pitches is saying he'll just drop curveball after curveball in there, and you can't do anything with it.
Just hope that he misses, really. So
yeah. I know you're happy to see your AL MVP candidate ball out.
Yes, like that's the one thing. I picked Jose Ramirez because he's kind of a streaky hitter, and I'm like, yo, like 60 games, like the way he finished last year, I'm like, yo, like if he gets hot, then he'll get super hot, and he's elite base runner, good defender. Like he has the type of skill set that lends itself to a lot of value over 60 games when he gets hot. So yeah, he's doing good, man. Like he's been the best player on that team. Well, the best position player on that team, but yeah.
Shane Bieber's. We got to talk about Shane Bieber too, because
that's like an ace, bro.
From your perspective, watching him come out of nowhere, because I kind of knew about him when he was in the minor leagues a little bit.
Yeah, so, I ain't know shit. Shit.
So, like, for you, what has it been like for you to see the Indians trade away Corey Kluber and Trevor Bauer and still have probably the best rotation in baseball?
It makes me jealous, kind of, honestly. Like, I'm just gonna put it like that. Even though my team's rotation has been doing really well, which we'll talk about eventually, but it's fucking incredible, because when they traded Corey Kluber, the year before, he was still a top-notch pitcher. Trevor Bauer had an all-star caliber year, and you see the start he's off to this year.
Yeah.
So the fact that they traded away, 2 guys like that, and they still managed to have probably the best, 1 through 5 pitching staff in the best rotation in the major leagues is fucking insane. And on Shane Bieber, you had some. No,
I was gonna say they're all homegrown too. Like they were all pretty much drafted and developed. But
and that's really, really impressive. And on Shane Bieber, like just on him, like he came out like just out of nowhere for me last year, because you follow the system obviously, but I don't follow other teams' farm systems in depth. So to see him just pop out of nowhere and just become an ace like that, like it was a big shock for me. And it kind of made me smile because it's like, man, like I'm happy, I'm happy that you are a fan of a team that's this competent at developing, pitching and developing young players, right? And it's like good for Pat, man, because he gets to get rid of those headaches. You got some headaches, Indians related headaches, but they're different. At least the player development is on point, and like I think he's a testament to that. I don't know exactly like what triggered it, like what made him go from good prospect to ace. Like maybe you got some insight on that, like something that he's doing with his pitch selection, mechanics, something like I don't know.
So from just what I'm reading and observed with pitching over the years, command can make a pitcher's pitches play up a
Yes,
lot.
yes,
Like when you have like plus command, like Shane Bieber type command, like when he was in the minor leagues, he only walked like 0.4% of batters he faced, like throughout his whole minor league career.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I'm looking at his FanGraph stuff right now. He had a 50 grade fastball, 50 grade slider, 60 grade curveball, 50 grade changeup, and 70 grade command.
That's a good prospect.
Yeah, he was labeled as a 45 overall, which is a good pitcher. But throughout his minor league career, from low A ball, Mahoning Valley, to Triple A, his breaking ball per nine per year was 0.75, 0.31, 0.40, 0.81, 0.29, and 0.11. He didn't start averaging one base on balls per nine innings until he got to AAA, which is basically almost a majors. And mind you, he did all this in like 2 years. For me, it's not just he gets a lot of Corey Kluber comps from like Terry Francona and the other guys in the Indians organization. And for me, from what I've seen with the development, he throws so many strikes that major league hitters are gonna tag you if you just keep on putting the ball in the zone.
Yeah,
It's not like the minor leagues where you can just throw the ball in the strike zone. Because the major leagues is different. Even the worst players on the major league team, the worst position players, are still the best players in the world. And I think people really keep that in perspective.
yeah,
So what Shane Bieber had to learn how to do was throw more pitches out of the zone in order to get more swing and miss and chases.
Mhm.
And another thing he did was I think he developed his curveball really well. And him and Mike Clevenger started throwing cutters during this offseason. So they've added a cutter to the arsenal.
yeah.
And it's scary. I'm looking at his stats right now, and his K per nine jumped every year when he was in the majors. Like a 9.26 was the highest K per nine he ever put up in his professional baseball career, and that was his rookie year. Then it jumped to 1088 last year, and then this year is 14. And the caveat to that is every year his breaking balls per nine has dropped from 1.81 to 1.68, and now he's averaging a 1.25.
Yeah. For reference, people, averaging less than 2 walks per nine is elite. For reference.
He's thrown 21 and 2/3 of an inning this year, and he's only walked 3 people, and he struck out 35.
That's stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. How could somebody? They need to just give him the extension right now, because what he's doing is historical. Like this is historical.
Yeah, he keeps this up. He's gonna have some hardware to show for it.
Yeah,
In his
a
house
lot,
very soon.
lot. Very, and he's only 25, 24, 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 25. He just turned 25.
Mm-hmm.
And they have him until 2025.
Man, it's good to be fan of an organization who can develop pitchers, correct?
Yeah, and this guy was projected to be like a number 4. He was a number 5 guy in our rotation, or his rookie year. And think about the guys that were in front of him. You had Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, Trevor Bauer, and Mike Clevenger. And that was the year they all threw 200 strikeouts. It was the first time this ever happened in baseball history. 4 guys in one rotation who threw 200 strikeouts. And to see Carlos Carrasco bounce back like he did and how he's looking like how he used to, it's just amazing. Like makes the rotation that much better, and to see Zach and Aaron Savali take that step forward too is amazing. Like they're looking like number threes. They will be a number. Every pitcher on the Indians will be a number 3 or better on pretty much any other rotation, I think, right now.
Completely agree. And you know who's another 25-year-old pitcher that we can talk about?
Herman Marquez.
Hell yeah, you read my mind.
Bro, I watched him against the Rangers. I watched him against the Rangers, man. He looks great. I don't know what he did. I don't know if it's the fact that he got away from the Rockies pitching staff for a few months, but he looks good. And man, Kyle Freeland.
Man, let me talk some shit right now. I'm gonna talk some shit. So the Colorado Rockies, they're 10-3, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of does that surprise you? Don't lie.
That's a 10. And honestly, that's probably the only time in your lifetime. That's probably one in like 5 times in your lifetime you're gonna be able to say that. I'm just being honest, bro.
Nah, you are. That's the thing. So I'm enjoying this whole shit. Like I'm just having so much fun with this because.
But the worst part about it is it's gonna make your front office look good when they really didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, the law and it happened. They could have a meltdown, like a historical meltdown, in like the next 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, this could be.
It's so volatile right now.
Yeah, this could be just a punch in the dick, like just the ultimate dick punch. Like, okay, so let me talk some shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Rockies are 10-3. They're number 1 in the National League West. They have the Dodgers behind them on August 8th. How weird does that sound on a normal year? And here's the thing with this. A lot of times you can see some teams maybe go on some runs, right? And they just click in. Or maybe, they're getting really lucky. They're winning 1-run games. And in those cases, those teams, they will typically have a pretty low, run differential. Maybe you'll see a team that's 10-4, but the run differential is just +5 or something like that, right?
Right.
The Rockies are +28. All 3 of their losses have been 1-run games, very winnable 1-run games. I know their schedule hasn't been great, but what I'm seeing here, like this is like the perfect case scenario in terms of the pitching staff. It's just perfect. Brian Shaw and Jake McGee had no place on this team. They should have been released last year. They were finally let go, and you know what that's called, people? That's called addition by subtraction. You get better by having something that's dragging you. You get rid of that, and you get better. Wade Davis, and I don't hate Wade Davis. He's just washed. He's done, and he doesn't need to be closing games. He doesn't need to be pitching in the major leagues at this point. So it sucks to say it because I'm sure he doesn't want to be bad. Every pitcher wants to be great, but he's done, and him not being there because he's hurt is the best thing that could have happened to this team. The bullpen has been very, very solid. Overall, Daniel Bard looks very nice coming back from the yips. Carlos Esteban and Jairo Diaz, they'll give you heart attacks, but they'll get shit done. Yency Almonte is finally, realizing some of his potential. He showed because, he's a typical fastball slider guy, but he has a really lively arm, really good slider. Like, he can be a nice piece. Jeff Hoffman failed as a starter. That's okay. You can put him in the bullpen, have him throw 97. He has a great curveball. And the guy that I want to talk about actually is Tyler Kinley. He was picked up from the Marlins on I think it was from the waiver wire or something like that. And I got to give credit to Jeff Bridich for that. That's one of the very few things you will ever hear me give Jeff Bridich credit for. He picked up this guy. He picked up Kinley, and he's fucking. Have you seen him pitch?
No.
He is fucking he's had command issues before. But when he's in the zone, like when he finds the zone with his fastball, and he's doing that right now, his slider is like damn near like Adam Ottavino levels. Like it's some insane shit to watch.
It's a frisbee.
Yeah, it's just insane to watch, and to just watch this bullpen filled with young guys, cast-offs. someone coming back from the yips, like just everything, and it's all meshing together to form a very solid unit, which is all you need, because this starting rotation. What's an adjective that you would use to describe how this rotation has performed so far? I'm asking from an outsider's perspective on it, right?
A little flukish.
Come on, bullshit.
I mean, I wouldn't say flukish in a bad sense, but I think they are. Okay, I'll say this: they're overperforming.
I agree.
I think
agree.
the pitching staff is overperforming. But as a whole, I think they're overperforming. But the rotation has, I say, a high ceiling but a very low floor.
Yes.
And I know nothing about the bullpen. I have to watch some Rockies games and look up, do some research, kind of feel them out. But Kyle Freeland and Herman Marquez and John Gray as your top three, and they're all pretty young. They're all in their mid-20s.
Yeah, Marquez is 25. Freeland and Gray, I think, are like 27, something like that.
So they're pretty much entering their prime. In baseball, you enter your prime at around 25 to 27.
Yes.
Because in baseball, you don't see guys just come in the league right away and just start destroying like you do in basketball and football.
Yeah.
Well, football maybe, because I mean, I say this: baseball kind of has the hardest learning curve.
It does.
Out of all I say out of all the three major American sports, it has the hardest learning curve. Well, depending on position too, because I say there's no harder position to play in sports than point guard or quarterback. But from an overall standpoint, baseball's learning curve is vicious. You'll see guys scuffle for 2 years, and you're wondering why are you still getting at bats, and then you'll see them figure something out with something as simple as moving their hands, or them or you see them revamp their whole batting stance like Josh Donaldson did when he was in the minor leagues, or change the position.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Oscar Mercado and Josh Donaldson when they went from catcher and shortstop to center field and third base.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the Rockies. I think it's not surprising, but I didn't think the Rockies would get it together this good, this fast. And although I'm kind of skeptical of them keeping the space and keeping up with the Dodgers, they most definitely could get that second division spot for sure. And if everybody besides Trevor Story starts hitting, then you guys should be fine in 60 games.
Yeah, it's only 60 games as a point, right? So, Germán Marquez, I'm just going to come out and say the dude is an ace. He just is. Like, there's nothing else to it. He's an ace. He has everything you want in an ace. He has effortless delivery. He pumps out 96, 97 with just like, it looks like he doesn't even try, and he throws 97. Like, he has an incredible arm, elite curveball, elite slider, good, improved changeup. He has top-notch command. Like, he throws so many strikes. It's kind of like Shane Bieber. Like, he throws so many strikes that he just gets ahead every single time. He works at a really high pace too. That's one thing that makes him fun to watch. And one thing I've been watching is he's been shaking off our catchers a lot this year and throwing high fastballs, which excites me beyond belief.
Honestly,
go ahead.
If the Rockies knew how to develop catchers or scout major league catchers and sign the right ones, you guys will be a lot better than what you have been over the last few years. Because I think you guys have always had pretty much the worst catchers in baseball. Like,
this team has never had a good catcher. Never ever. Never. Like, this team has never had like a catcher that you would say, okay, like he's an all-star.
Oh wow.
Never. Like, not one. Like, the best catcher on this, like, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Iannetta is one of the five best catchers in team history.
Like war-wise?
Yes.
Oh, that's depressing. See, the Indians are kind of spoiled when it comes to catchers too, when you really look at it, because you went from Sandy Alomar, who was pretty good, to Victor Martinez. Then you had Carlos Santana for a bit before you went to, who was that guy? I can't remember who the catchers were during like the dark ages. But
y'all been spoiled. Basically.
Yeah, like, and then you go to Yan Gomes or Roberto Perez for this whole decade.
Yeah, so basically, the Rockies have never had catchers, and the thing is, they're terrible because Bud Black favors veteran catchers who can't hit for some reason. Like Dom Nunez should be getting at bats. Drew Butera somehow got mad at bats. Like Drew Butera somehow made the 2018 playoff roster, dog. That shit still, that's some bullshit to me still. But anyway, so the pitching staff, like Marquez is an ace. John Gray, I don't think he's as good as some people hoped he would be. I think he's a fine number 3. I just don't think like his changeup's not good enough, and he doesn't have enough good fastball command. He just leaves it out over the plate way too much. The reason he's good is because his slider is great, and he throws 97. So Freeland's different. Now Freeland's a really interesting story. Now I'm assuming you haven't like actually paid attention to it, and I can't blame you. You know, you can't be keeping up with everything. Freeland actually did something very interesting because in 2018 he was pretty much exclusively a fastball slider guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He threw some changeups, but he was primarily fastball slider. This year he's throwing, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's throwing like 30% fastballs, which is an incredibly low number.
Right.
He's throwing basically the same amount of fastballs as he's throwing sliders and curve and changeups.
I think there's even a spike of that around the league. You're seeing guys throw more stuff with spin on it now. Like Shane Bieber is only throwing his fastball 39% of the time, and then Mike Clemenger also, like, he's throwing it less than half. And Zach Plesac also. I think we're seeing guys that have deep arsenals and repertoires throw more spin just because it's a shorter season and they could kind of throw more breaking balls so they haven't got to like preserve their arms, you know?
Yeah.
Because breaking balls are more strenuous on the arm.
Yeah, and more difficult to hit as well. So with Freeland, that's kind of the thing. Like, first of all, like he completely eliminated you know that pause he used to do at the top of his delivery. Like he would pause and then sometimes he'd go fast to the plate. Sometimes he'd take a lot of time and then throw. That was messing with his mechanics. So he cut that out. His command looks much better. And that basically his curveball actually is like 3 times as good as it used to be. Although that's not saying a lot because his curveball used to be the worst in baseball. But he's throwing equal times fastballs, sliders, and changeups. He's throwing more curveballs. He's mixing in some sinkers, but not a whole lot. Like he just looked good, man. Like he looks like 2018 Kyle Freeland, but with a different formula. Like he looks like he has that type of confidence. And then the guy to me that's like the X factor in terms of how good this rotation can end up being is Antonio Senzatella. Now this Senzatella has always been a guy, and you know this. Every system, every minor league system has at least 2-3 pitchers like this. Pitchers that have obvious athleticism, very easy, fluid motion. They throw mid-high 90s, but they're pretty much one-pitch pitchers, right?
Yeah, and they don't know where the ball is going.
Yeah, exactly. And Senzatella, he was one of those, but he shed some pounds in the offseason. His slider looks sharp. He developed a curveball, which is really good. Like he made Fernando Tatis and Trent Grisham, who are 2 great hitters, by the way.
Trent Grisham has been great too.
Yes, and that's something that like we can talk about like when we mention like other teams and all that. But he made Tatis and Grisham look awful at one point in one of his starts. Like they were swinging and missing at everything. Like Trent Grisham swung and missed at a curveball that almost hit him. Like he tied him up so bad. Like, but like like his command looks better. His breaking stuff looks better. His changeup's actually a bit improved. And like if he has like a 2.6 ERA. Like he's not going to maintain that. But if he can keep an ERA like just like around 4, like 3.8, this rotation is going to be good. The hitting has been similar to your team, similar to the Indians. The hitting has been very inconsistent so far. Trevor Story and Charlie Blackmon are the only 2 regulars that are actually doing anything. Nolan's has an OPS of like 680, something like that, and David Dahl has an OPS of like 540. Like they're both struggling bad. And Nolan, like you can just tell, like Nolan's timing, everything about his timing is off. Like it's just bad. But aside from that, Garrett Hampson. I'm not going to talk about the Rockies anymore, folks. I'm just going to do one quick mention here because I'm already going too far. Like I can tell. Garrett Hampson needs to play every day. Anyone who hears this, like, spread the message, spread the word. Garrett Hampson is amazing. He needs to play every single day. Fuck Chris Owings. He don't need to be in that utility guy role. Garrett Hampson can do that, and he
Garrett
can hit.
Hampson, his speed and his he has very great outfield instincts for someone that really didn't play that much outfield.
He's barely ever played in the outfield as a pro, and he has enough instincts to play at center field.
Yeah, like his speed makes up for some bad jumps, but he really doesn't take that many bad jumps either. Like he looks like he was brought up as an outfielder.
Yeah,
which is really cool because honestly, he should be the super utility guy on that team because he can pretty much play every position, and he has the arm to play third and shortstop too, right?
I wouldn't say it. I think if you're in a pinch and you need like someone to play those positions, he can definitely play shorts. Like he was brought up as a shortstop.
Okay.
He stopped playing short because the arm wasn't quite there, but he can hack it.
He can moonlight at third and short.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the dude is like super athletic. He's quick, agile. Like he can do everything. Short of catcher, he can probably play. He can play every position on the field.
Okay.
And he's a good hitter too. Like he's actually a rarity in the Rockies system because the Rockies system develops a lot of aggressive hitters who don't walk very much and swing too much. Hampson has a really good eye, swings very little, walks at a pretty good clip through the minors. For someone with his power, his problem has always been that even though his eye was really good and he doesn't chase, because he's shown such little power in his major league career, pitchers just challenge him. Like they're just not afraid of him. So, the amount he can walk is limited by that. But now he's actually, he's been a bit more aggressive. He's barreling up some baseballs. He just hit a home run yesterday. And if he can do that, I feel like he can be a really valuable player. But that's enough for the Rockies because I talked about him way too much. You mentioned Trent Grisham. His breakout has been really great. Because he got buried in Milwaukee for that error. And it's just one more example of this season and kind of like some of the narratives it can create, right?
Yeah. The Padres they've been making a lot of trades lately. And to see how they're kind of gearing up to get these young guys into their what I'm trying to say is it's interesting to see how like they signed their big free agents, Hosmer and Machado, and then they brought up Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing in the young guys like they brought up Josh Naylor too and stuff like that. He seems pretty good. It's just cool. Watching baseball rebuilds is really cool, even for other teams, because it's just so unique to see what sticks and what doesn't and how long term it is.
Yeah, it's fun if you're not a fan of the team that's going through it, but
yeah. Sometimes it can be fun if you know you have a competent organization, but I digress.
No comment on that.
Exactly.
So basically that was our team reports, kind of the state of MLB as a whole. Another thing that surprised me: the Astros are 6-7. No further comment on that. You're seeing a lot of teams that like. It seems that like there's been a lot of mediocre teams so far. Like it's just, I don't know. Like the Rays are real slow. The Astros 6-7. Like a lot of teams that you would expect to be good or at least solid have just been terrible. Like I've been struggling trying to make the power rankings. Like from 13 on down, I'm like, God damn! Like there's way too many losing records on this list.
Like you got to go by by reputation and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do. Like,
I know what you mean. It's crazy right now. I think the Astros are still gonna. Honestly, the teams that are kind of starting off slow, I was kind of expecting it. So I think we're gonna see some teams bounce back too because these schedules have been crazy. Also,
yeah.
Like right now, the Astros are 6-7. Could you see them going 32-28 for the rest of the season? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. The Rays are 6-7. They could go 31-29 for the rest of the season too. Like the Indians.
Absolutely.
Are 8-7. I could see them going 31-29 for the rest of the season. Like,
or better. Like,
or better. Yeah, like it's just such a toss up. It's so I love how chaotic it is right now because it just feels like baseball.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It feels like a race to
yeah,
to the
yeah.
finish line.
And then to see all these young guys that would never get called up in a regular major season getting called up from like Double A and stuff like that to pitch
Yeah.
and hit. And it's very interesting to see and how all the rebuilding teams are letting their top prospects get major league at bats. Like Kyle Lewis started off the season with like a multi-hit game in every game he played.
He's smoking the ball.
And he was like playing against the Astros and the A's and stuff like that, and he was just crushing the ball.
Yeah, I think he has
Like,
an OPS of like 1,000 right now.
Yeah,
1,000.
and then Angels brought up Joe Adele.
Oh yeah,
That's
I was
gonna
excited
be great.
about that.
I was too. Luis Robert is looking like rookie of the year.
My
And
pick.
yeah, your pick. And honestly, to see a lot of young black players getting PT right now. Then Shed Long is looking great at second base for the Mariners too.
Yeah.
It's just cool to see all these guys that really wouldn't get opportunities like the Mets brought up Andres Jimenez, their shortstop prospect,
Mhm.
and he's playing all over the place. And then the Astros have called up like 10 pitchers.
Yeah, because they need him.
Yeah, and they're all like young guys that could throw 97. The Astros are so good at scouting and developing. It's unfair. Like they really didn't need to cheat.
Yeah, that's the fucked up part with them.
They didn't need to cheat. Like they were so good. They're so good at drafting, developing hitters and pitchers. It's just unfair. They're like the Miami Heat of baseball in that sense.
Yeah, they're like the Patriots in many ways.
Yeah, Patriots. Yeah, Patriots more like. But I think they're. Yeah, Patriots make sense because they remember they drafted Josh Hader too.
They did?
Yeah, they drafted and developed Josh Hader before they traded him to the Brewers.
Who are they trading for?
Hold on. I'm gonna look that up.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like.
So I mean, like,
that's actually, he was drafted by Baltimore. I'm sorry.
By the Orioles. Oh my God! Didn't the Orioles also draft Jake Arrieta and Eduardo Rodriguez and like a million good pitchers?
I know Jake Arrieta played for them, but remember he was kind of so they traded him.
Yeah, because the Orioles can develop pitching. That's why.
Yeah, and then Dylan Bundy like actually being good now is weird too.
Yeah.
But that's I kind of expected that. But the Astros traded him with Domingo Santana, Brett Phillips, Adrian Hauser to the Brewers for Mike Fiers and Carlos Gomez.
That doesn't seem too smart now.
It doesn't, but this was in 2015.
Nah, no, I'm just talking some shit. But yeah, so this season is just weird. Like it's like Pat said, it feels hectic, man. Like, and one of these, one of the reasons why it feels hectic is because not every team is playing the same amount of games, folks. In case you haven't been paying attention, some teams have had actually two teams, right? Two teams have had outbreaks. The Marlins and the Cardinals. The Cardinals have currently only played 5 games. The Marlins have played 8. We already said they're 7-1. Those teams, and the Phillies also, kind of by proxy, and the Tigers in a way, like those teams are going to have hectic schedules coming up because MLB has stacked doubleheaders on top of doubleheaders, and there's 7 innings too. How do you feel about that, by the way? Because that's a weird one.
It makes sense because that's what they do in the minor leagues. They do 7 innings doubleheaders. For this season, yeah, it makes sense because you don't want to burn guys out. And honestly, the fact that there's not really that many off days too makes it, they kind of had to do doubleheaders, and they're going to have to make them 7 innings because you literally might have teams do 2 days of doubleheaders.
Yeah.
And that's 14 innings. So, and it's just crazy. I'm not jealous of the people who make the MLB schedules right now.
Me neither. They got to be on their toes, man.
Yeah, for real.
And and that's the thing. Like those outbreaks, they kind of let us see a bit of really how dumb MLB is, and not only how dumb, but also how greedy they are, right? Because these outbreaks, they were like, first of all, how they considered like doing a season with no bubble of any sort was crazy to me. I know baseball has much more people than hockey, for example, or basketball, but they still should have been doing some sort of actual like strict measures in order to prevent shit like this. Now, granted, a lot of people were. I remember, you remember when the first Marlins outbreak came out, and how
Mhm.
and how and how and how much everyone just went into panic mode, like, oh my god, the season's over. Oh my god, oh my god. I was like, I was like, I was like, do y'all not know what MLB is? If y'all think MLB is canceling the season over one outbreak, y'all are fucking crazy.
The worst part about the outbreak is the fact that um that Don Mattingly let them play knowing that they had positive tests.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, and the fact that they went out to like a bar casino or something too. Um, I think what they should have did a bubble. Honestly, they could
I
have
think
did three.
they could have done multiple
They
bubbles.
could have did three because they could have did two teams. They could have did the West region of baseball in LA because there's two stadiums.
Yeah.
They could have did the Central in Chicago because you got Wrigley and the other ball, Chicago White Sox ballpark, and they
Mhm.
could use New York because you got Yankee Stadium and the Mets.
Yeah. They didn't though,
No,
because I mean, to be fair to them, they didn't actually have the time to like think about the logistics of that because they had to spend 3 months sending bullshit offers and stalling for time, right? I mean, right?
exactly, exactly.
So,
They could have played
so yeah,
81 games in the bubble, and they could have had a set amount of time, and then they could have had all the playoff teams in one central location for the bubble.
yeah, and that's a crazy thing because how are they going to do the playoffs? Because imagine an outbreak just happens
During the
during a
playoff.
playoff series. Now, what the fuck happens?
Exactly, and then they got to do. They're not doing tiebreakers this year; just going by record and winning percentage, too.
Yeah,
And then they're
this
saying,
all. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
they're going to make every team play all 60 games too.
This all screams like to anyone who's paying attention, and even if you're not paying attention, just the whole how they're going about this just screams all we give a shit about is getting to October, doing the postseason and getting all that sweet postseason TV money, correct?
Yep.
And that's really the fucked up thing about it is they're gonna get their money regardless. And this is why you should never actually bootlick MLB because they don't give a shit. All they want is their money and they're gonna get it. So no matter that maybe someone has problems due to the Rona and shit in the future, Eduardo Rodriguez has already been opted out of the season because, well, not opted out, he's been taken out of the season because he has some heart conditioning because of the Rona. So MLB doesn't give a shit. They're gonna get their money regardless. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say on that front, bro. Like, you got anything else? Like, any other way you want to shit on MLB? Because I'm running out of ideas at this point.
The way that they're giving people the stats for the test. They're going by percentage. They were giving by percentage of tests given instead of by players instead of percentage of players who and staff who've called it.
Yeah, just to calm people down. Don't worry about it. We'll get to October. You'll
Yeah,
get
like
postseason
out
baseball.
of 44,000 tests, we've only had like 0.29% of positive tests. Come
Yeah,
on,
fuck out of here, MLB.
like how many players? How the players are getting tested every day and staff are getting tested every day? You need to give us what's the percentage of players and staff who have called it so far.
Yeah, they're not doing that though. So
No,
you know
they're
what?
not.
You know what they are doing though? They're suspending Joe Kelly for 8 games.
That whole situation was just.
What's your
I mean,
take on it though? What's your
I,
take?
I mean, I kind of get it because I feel like the suspension was for him causing them to gather around, crowd together during the pandemic, as much as it was about him throwing at the Astros.
Eh,
And I feel like they kind of had to send a message because if it wasn't one guy suspension, somebody else would have thrown them too.
Yeah. You know what the problem with this is?
So
The problem is
none of
when
the
you don't
players
do
on
any.
the Astros they
Yes,
got immunity
exactly.
for being. They should have
For
got
being,
suspended, honestly, or they could have got
this is
fined or something.
this is just like and this is before I started watching baseball. You know, I've done my homework. This is when Chase Utley broke Tejada's leg all over again
Hmm.
on a slide that was obviously on purpose. MLB did nothing to Chase Utley. So what? So what was the first thing that the Mets did when they played the Dodgers again?
They threw behind him, and
They threw right at
that
him.
rant was epic too.
Yes, and that's one of the best umpire manager interactions I've ever heard. Probably the best.
Yeah, they need to, the sound bites this year have been excellent too.
Yeah, you're hearing the players actually say shit.
Yeah, like I wish we could have got a Trevor Bauer Mike Clemenger matchup so we could have heard them talk smack to each other.
Yeah, because they was talking some shit.
Yeah, man.
So on the Joe Kelly stuff, I mean, this all kind of goes back to the retribution. Once again, I think the only reason they did it also, and people said, well, but Joe Kelly wasn't on the Dodgers in 2017. So what the fuck, why is he mad? Joe Kelly was on the Red Sox in 2017. The Red Sox lost to the Astros in the playoffs.
And they got destroyed.
Yeah.
Like Jose Altuve lit them up.
Yeah, he had a legit beef with that. Like you can have legit beef with that. So
honestly, every team that competed against the Astros in the playoffs from 2017 to 2019 has beef.
Yeah, they have a reason to be mad.
It's interesting now looking when you go back and watch those interviews with the players and stuff and of the opposing teams afterwards. They were saying it. Like when you read in between the lines, they knew that they were cheating.
Yeah, they knew something was happening.
And like in baseball, word travels fast, so baseball players are going to talk. So like when Jason Kipnis and Mike Clemenger said after 2018 series when the Indians got swept, that they had an information advantage.
Yeah, they were telling you something, people.
They were telling you something. Like you can't get in baseball, you really don't call other players out or other teams out in front of like media and stuff like that unless it's like really flagrant.
Yeah.
But in all the cases when teams were shading the Astros for cheating because they knew it's just crazy to think about that it took that long for them to like get caught pretty much because someone snitched.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy to me that actually go ahead, my bad.
And on the flip side of that, you remember when all the old school players are like, he shouldn't have said anything. Mike Fire shouldn't have said anything.
I mean, no comment on that. Like the thing with me is I'm still astonished at the fact that the Astros had the balls to actually say, you know what, we're going to do something so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that we're not going to get caught. Like the fucking balls of doing that. But anyway, so the Joe Kelly incident, that was very obvious. Like I said, the same thing as Utley and Tejada. MLB didn't do nothing to the Astros players. So obviously other teams and other players took it upon themselves to send them a message. The way you send them that message, especially now since you can't actually fight, the way you send them that message is by hitting them right in the head with a fastball. So, it was gonna happen. I mean, motherfuckers was making bets before the season, dog. Like, how much are the Astros gonna get hit? Like everyone knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It was very. The writing was on the wall when they were getting thrown at in spring training.
Yes.
You knew something was gonna happen.
Yeah, when you're wasting spring training pitches, which are supposed to get you fine-tuned to throw at people, yeah, you know something's gonna happen. So, yeah, that's the Joe Kelly situation. MLB. It's just so bad on their part. They do nothing to punish Astros players. Then they set an example with the first player of an opposing team who actively throws to them. It's just bullshit on their part. But anyway, so more news from around the league, and some sad news now, folks. Shohei Ohtani. Now, Can you give folks listening who maybe are not really like acquainted with who Otani is and like what's his background and why is he such a big name? Can you give them like some info on him as to why he's really such a big name and why this, these news are so sad to see? Really,
Shohei Ohtani is a Japanese two-way player.
phenom.
Phenom. He's a freak. You just don't see guys that are that good at hitting and pitching at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally like modern day Babe Ruth.
Yep.
But he's just a freak because he's athletic. He has like 60 grade speed. And he's huge. He's like 6'4". Just compare him athletically, he's like an NBA shooting guard athletically, honestly.
Yeah. He throws 98.
Yeah, he throws 98. And he can hit. I've seen him hit 101 in a game before.
That's insane.
He swings like Ichiro too. That's really cool to me.
Yeah.
The way he contorts his body to make contact. He's one of the best left-handed bats in baseball, and he's also an elite right-handed pitcher when he's healthy. But he had a forearm strain recently, which comes after the fact that he had Tommy John surgery last year, which sucks. But the cool thing about it is he might have a forearm strain, but he's still gonna be able to hit.
Yep.
So,
and he's gonna be a valuable. That's the thing. You just do not see players like this.
Yeah.
You don't see players who can be a. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say he can be a 3-WAR DH. Ken Otani, and he can also be a top of the rotation pitcher.
He's their ace. He's their ace, for sure. Like we might see seasons run where he'll put up 3 WAR as a DH and 5 WAR, 6 WAR as a pitcher.
Yes,
the whole season.
Yes, and you just like I said, you just do not see guys like this. So basically, on Otani, like Pat said, he had Tommy John. He missed all of last year as a pitcher. He exclusively hit. And coming back from Tommy John is always a bit tricky. I mean, I don't know if there's like a number of guys who come back from it and a number of guys who don't. Like there's like an actual stat, like maybe like 75 do, 25 don't. Like I don't know if that's a number for that.
No,
there's not really. So it's kind of like random, kind of like depends on the guy, I would assume. So
yeah.
So yeah, but in general, it's like it's a difficult surgery to come back from at full strength. A lot of people do it, but it's kind of rough, especially for a pitcher. And the thing is, when you lose a player like this, right? Now you have him come back for 2020. He's your ace, and he's coming back from Tommy John. And in his first two starts combined, people, he throws 1 2/3 of an inning in 2 starts combined. And the big warning sign was that in his second start against the Astros, I think he walked like the last 4 hitters he faced, and his fastball went from, in like a stretch of like 15 pitches, his fastball went from sitting 95 to sitting 89, and it was sudden. And I remember that because I was watching it on the MLB at Bat app, and I was like, oh, like that, like this velocity drop is not good. And then they said forearm strain, and to me, like, this is just because I'm a pessimist, and in many ways because I'm a Rockies fan, so I'm geared towards pessimism. This worst case scenario, he has Tommy John again, and his career as a pitcher is now in doubt, right?
I agree. I wouldn't say his career as a pitcher is in doubt because we've seen guys get Tommy John multiple times, but a forearm strain is usually a precursor for Tommy John surgery.
Yes. And that would be a really big blow, not just to him and to the Angels, but it would be a really big blow for baseball because you just do not see guys like this. And he's a megastar. Like, he has that kind of crossover appeal, right? So,
and with him playing next to Mike Trout, it just gives him more visibility, which what he deserves.
Yes, exactly. So basically, this has, if it goes badly, this has kind of the potential of baseball losing, one of its more interesting players, a legit star, and really someone who could help the game and in many ways. So here's to him having full recovery. I think that it didn't help him that he didn't get an actual full spring training. I don't think that helped. But yeah, so hopefully he can come back and pitch well, because that's something that not only the Angels are going to need, baseball is going to need, because he's a big star, and yeah, baseball could really use personalities like that. When you mentioned the whole Clevenger and Trevor Bauer, I want to take one small, couple seconds to say that I salute Trevor Bauer for what the fuck he's doing and how he's promoting himself and his personal brand and baseball at the same time. Just a salute to that man. And like he's doing like vlogs, like just everything that he's doing to like give people like an inside scoop on everything on like how baseball is, because it's just so like baseball is like so mythical, like it's just so hidden behind closed doors, right? Like I get that feeling, like you don't know what goes on in the clubhouse, you don't know what goes on like in between stars, like you just don't know that, right? So I think that for him to be doing that, I think it's a really cool thing. And I think that's kind of the way baseball has to go if they want to appeal to new people, not bullshit ass fucking gimmicks, Manfred. Baseball does not need that. Don't mess with the game on the field. Promote it better. Promote it better.
And I think that's one thing we've seen also. We've seen social media kind of step up across the board for baseball this year, and that's really good to see.
Yeah, because they almost blew this opportunity, and in many ways they did. But there's still things that they can. There's still things that baseball can gain from this. Basically.
I agree.
So yeah, and yeah, I think that was the main topics you want. I mean, maybe you kind of like did a speed round of like MLB as a whole, and we focus on our teams a lot. But I think this was damn good conversation, though.
Yeah, it did. It flowed really well. I think we went over everything we kind of planned to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So,
yeah. And plus, we're only 2 weeks into the season too, so we really haven't really seen that second wave of kind of development baseball has.
Yeah, because
where guys get used to guys and other guys kind of improve. Yeah,
don't be shocked if the next time we do. Well, not the next time, because next time will be next week. But don't be shocked if in 2 weeks, for episode 15, which would be episode 15. Don't be shocked if at that time we're talking about some completely different teams on top. Some teams that were hot, falling off a cliff. Fingers crossed, that's not the Rockies.
Injuries and all that stuff too.
Yes,
because I think a lot of players are going to get injured this year just because they didn't have a good amount of time to ramp up.
Yeah. I think you're going to eventually start seeing hitters catching up a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing a lot of stars struggling so far. My bad.
And you're going to see guys opt out too, I think, if they don't really handle this pandemic better.
I actually don't think that's the case. I think that they kind of like the whole Marlins and Cardinals, like when those things were going on at the same time, I think that was kind of like, at least to me, like this is kind of the hope for me. I think that was like the worst part of the storm. I think that if they, because they've actually like tightened up, the protocols and everything from what I've seen. Because they were really like lackadaisical. A lot of teams were, and MLB was at the start of the season. So I think if they tighten up the protocols and players are more responsible and teams are more responsible, I think there's no reason why. There's still going to be outbreaks, of course, because it's just going to happen because that's the state of the United States. A good dad joke right there. But yeah, I don't see any reason why baseball shouldn't get to October relatively safely unless some bullshit happens. Basically, that's me, and I already spoke way too much. So,
no, I agree with you. The United States is really kind of incompetent, even when it comes to wearing masks. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Things would be a lot better if everybody wore masks, or if they. We're not trying to turn this podcast into the Pat and Mario proletariat rants and stuff like that, but folks gotta get their stuff together for real. Like,
it's common sense shit.
Yeah, like even getting a common cold, even during cold and flu season, people should be wearing more masks, honestly. And not to mention the state of the healthcare system and how people are playing around with the economy right now too. But that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day.
Exactly. So I think we can sign off on this one. This was episode 13 of the Pinch Talk podcast. I think that it will have a funny title, by the way. I cracked myself up with it. So yeah, this was episode 13 of the Pinch Talk podcast. Remember that the podcast is available on all platforms.